webinar on patient engagement and protected personal health records. Thank you for coming. And we have a really exciting opportunity to share with you about personal health records, and we've got a few guests on the phone here that I'm going to introduce in a few minutes. But let me dive right into what we've got in mind and how it may be of interest to you. Also, as always, our slides are available on the HIE website at the santacruzhie.org. And then also, if you're a PMG provider, you can log in. So if you could go on. Sorry about that. So if you're a PMG provider, you can go onto our PMG portal, which requires a PMG provider login, and the slides will be available under Connecting Healthcare along with the rest of our webinar series. I just want to do a quick sound check. Bear with me 1 second. Okay, so let's continue. So here's what this is all about. We have an opportunity to do a personal health record pilot project and have it paid for by a grant from the California Health and Human Services Agency. And what this means to you is that there'll be little to no cost from you, at least for the first year. We expect this will be wildly successful and will continue. And there will be a small cost after that, but we think it will be very modest for the value that it provides. So again, we have most of the upfront costs covered and would be looking to you to pay little to none of this. It is a personal health record, and electronic patient engagement is a meaningful use stage 2 requirement. And I know many of you that have been listening and reading about this. Stage 2 doesn't really kick in until October of 2014. However, it's never too early to get started. Patient engagement, electronic patient engagement, and personal health records are a bit of a chore to get your workflow squared away, as well as to get patients using it. And this will give you an opportunity to get there before you have to get there, and again, at very little money out of your pocket. This will enhance your workflow, and it will help you engage with patients. And again, meet the meaningful use stage 2 requirement for personal health records and patient engagement. The last thing I want to say is that our goal here is to get you to contact Becky Shoemaker here at PMG and the HIE to let her know that you're interested in learning more, and she will send you some information, talk to you on the phone, or even come out and see you if you'd like to talk to her in person about what this means and what all this costs and how it will work with your system. So I'm going to many of you know Becky. I'm going to now introduce Jeff Donnell. He's the president of No More Clipboard, and that is the vendor that we have chosen to work with on this solution. And he's got many implementations under his belt with health information exchanges around the country, and he's going to share with you some of the success stories there. So again, before I turn it over to Jeff, we just want to make sure that you know that this is how this is funded, and that you can qualify for the program with little to no cost, and what sort of commitment that we're looking for out of you if you're going to join our pilot project. So Jeff, I want to ask you to say something and let me confirm that we've got you turned on here.
Okay, am I coming through?
Yes.
Excellent.
And I'm going to make you the presenter, Jeff, because you've got slides for us for the group, right?
Correct.
Okay, you should be becoming the presenter.
Okay, let me bring up would probably help if I started at the beginning of the
Yes, I see. Thank you.
Yes, thank you everyone for showing up today. I appreciate that. Okay, hold on a minute. For some reason, I've got a little bit of a delay here. All right. So thank you, Bill, and appreciate everybody's time today. So let me just tell you a little bit about No More Clipboard. We have been involved in electronic patient engagement now for nearly 10 years, and probably the first 8 or 9 years of our existence, it's felt very much like rolling a rock up a hill, trying to convince people that electronic patient engagement is a good idea. And finally, here in the last 12 to 18 months, the stars and the planets have aligned, and the market around electronic patient engagement is really taking off. And much of that has to do with meaningful use requirements, especially meaningful use stage 2 requirements. And I'm sure many of you on the phone are familiar with the 2 key requirements now in stage 2. One is that you have to enable your patients to be able to view, download, or transmit their electronic health information. And the other requirement is that you need to get at least 5% of your patients to actually participate and use electronic tools to do so. And that has certainly created a great deal of not only opportunity, but for many in the provider community, it's created quite a bit of angst as you look at, well, what is going to be the best approach? What's the best way for us to tackle this? And one of the things that we're hearing consistently from around the country is that there's this sort of nightmare scenario because many electronic health record vendors offer their own tethered patient portal solution. And there's nothing wrong with those solutions by any means, but from a patient point of view, if I see 5 different physicians and they're not all part of the same health system, all of a sudden I might be expected to log into and manage 5 different accounts, each of which has a part of my health information. And unfortunately, they all are going to have different logins and passwords. They're all going to have different bits of information, and in most cases, that information can't be centralized or shared in one spot. And we're hearing, for example, quite a bit from critical access hospitals where maybe they have one inpatient EHR and a different ambulatory or a different set of ambulatory EHRs, and they're looking for a way to create kind of a cross-enterprise experience so the patient only has to go to one spot. And so combating this challenge actually creates an opportunity for the health information exchange, like the Santa Cruz HIE, to add some value. And the value is around the concept of the HIE providing a patient portal solution that can connect multiple providers with a patient. And that gives the patient the opportunity to go to one spot and from one pipe be able to get their data from across the continuum of care and aggregate it in a single spot, in a single application that has one set of credentials to log in. From a provider point of view, you're giving your patients something valuable, but you also have the opportunity to maybe offer your patients a more affordable portable, patient-centric solution with the HIE kind of serving as the middleman in the equation. And you're really leveraging the connectivity that the HIE has already put in place with various EHR and other health IT applications, and just making that same data available, to a new constituent, in this case, the patient. Now, this concept of the HIE being involved in patient engagement is relatively new, and we got involved in this space about 3 years ago when the folks at the ONC issued a challenge grant. And what they were looking for is a way to get HIE or data in the hands of a consumer with a personal health record. And in most cases, HIEs are moving data around, between doctors and hospitals on behalf of a patient, but the patient is usually missing from that equation. So we applied for and won this grant, and we're in the state of Indiana. And in Indiana, we actually have 5 different health information exchanges. They each have a slightly different business model. So our reasoning was that if you award this grant to us, we'll come up with a model that could be scaled around the country, because of all these different business models are going to be replicated in different pockets of the country. So for the last 3 years, we've worked with these 5 HIEs and about a dozen pilot sites to work through both the policy and the technical issues associated with making that HIE data available to a consumer. And the good news for everybody on the call is that we've done a lot of the heavy lifting over the last 3 years. We've learned what to do and what not to do, so we can help our partners like the Santa Cruz HIE not only avoid some pitfalls, but make accelerated progress. And just to give you an example of the power of this model, with the HIE kind of playing a role in making data available to a consumer, one of our pilot sites is a critical access hospital called Margaret Mary Health. And we worked with Margaret Mary and one of the HIEs in our backyard called Health Bridge. And the concept was to create a community-wide, portable, interoperable patient portal. And the Health Bridge HIE infrastructure is actually very similar to what the Santa Cruz HIE has in place. So there are many parallels and a lot of things that we can leverage from our past experience. So what you're seeing here is a visual of the patient portal screen. This is kind of the main screen that was created, and it's called Health Connect. And Margaret Mary in their little community said, look, we're going to make this available to any and all patients. It'll connect them to data not only from the Margaret Mary Health System, but other providers in our area, and even providers in nearby Cincinnati, Ohio, that are also served by the Health Bridge HIE, and to where Margaret Mary often refers many of their patients. So what Margaret Mary does is they created a spot on their website that educates their patient population on Health Connect, on the value of creating a personal health record. The patient is able to do so, and then through this patient portal, they're able to do things like pre-register for appointments. They're able to download data from the HIE so that they don't have to populate their personal health record from scratch. They're able to manage the health information not only for themselves as individuals, but for their entire family. And over time, we're going to add in additional secure messaging modules, things like online appointment requests and prescription refill requests and those sorts of things. And then this is a view of the actual personal health record, so the patient can drill down and they can get kind of a one-page dashboard view of all of their health information, and they can manage that over time. Now, what's really, really powerful here is the results. So, we worked closely with the client, with the HIE. We first rolled it out to their employees to get the hospital employees and their family members acclimated so that they would be comfortable with the product and would in turn be able to explain how it works to their patients. And then they launched it on August 1st of this year. In less than a month, they had more than 1,200 patients sign up. In a couple of months, we're now up to over, in fact, it's now over 3,000 personal health record accounts have been created. And the little town where Margaret Mary is located is called Batesville, Indiana, and they have 6,500 residents. So if you think about that requirement to get 5% of your patients to create an account and actually interact, qualify for meaningful use stage 2, this client in less than 6 months is nearing the 50% mark. So and the feedback that they're getting from their patients is because it's so valuable that the patient, again, doesn't have to populate this tool from scratch. They're able to visit a doctor, visit the hospital, and at the conclusion of a visit or a hospital stay, the hospital helps them create an account. They go home, and that account is already pre-populated with data that's been fed from the HIE. Not only that, but it's data from multiple providers. So the patient is getting a consolidated, aggregated view of their data from across that continuum of care, and that is really, really valuable to a patient. And it's not something you're generally going to get with that tethered portal model that you get from an EHR vendor. So again, this concept of creating a community where you connect up providers and patients can be incredibly powerful. And it can also be complementary to, again, we recognize that especially larger health systems quite often are still going to want to have that, maybe that tethered to an EHR model. And we can actually, work in parallel with those sorts of models as well. And as Bill said, we're now in the process of deploying this model around the rest of the country. We're working with a number of HIEs around the United States who are deploying a similar model, and the whole idea is to provide value to the patient population in the HIE operating area, but also to provide value to providers who are saying, you know what, we're looking for an affordable, practical, sensible way to meet these patient engagement requirements, and they're looking to their HIEs to provide solutions if possible. So as Bill said, we're very fortunate, with this grant funding that Santa Cruz has been able to obtain. To really pay to build out the infrastructure and to pilot this, and we're now at the point where what we're looking for is very simple. We're looking for up to 3 provider organizations with a total of up to 10 healthcare providers and up to 500 patients. And what we'll do is we'll collaborate with your organization and the individuals in your organization. We'll provide the expertise and the experience. This is something we've done before, and we have it down to a science in terms of how to set this up, how to deploy it, even how to help you promote it to your patient populations, and then we'll provide support. And because this is a pilot situation, what we're really looking for is people that want to collaborate with us. Work through, what are the things that are particular to the Santa Cruz market, what refinements do we need to make, with the idea that, hopefully we'll learn a great deal and we'll be able to roll this out on a wider basis, to other folks who maybe aren't quite ready to step up and pilot this right out of the gate. So, Bill, with that, I will turn it back over to you, and we'll certainly stay on the line and be happy to answer any questions.
Well, thanks, Jeff. And actually, we're not going to do Q&A online today.
Okay.
But what I would encourage you to do is reach out to Becky and she can get your questions captured and answered. I do want to add a few things to what Jeff said, just to emphasize the point and to fill in some other points, which is that we are using the lessons learned from the old Relay Health pilot that we did, gosh, about 7 years ago here. And one of the biggest lessons learned was we need integration. We need electronic integration between these kinds of solutions to make it easier for the provider and their practice to actually use something like this in their workflow. So that was a starting point. And I think this other thing is that Jeff touched on very well, is that patients are going to be asked for potentially multiple portals to log into. And we think that that's not a non-starter, or at least is not going to last more than a few years, because so many patients have 5 doctors or more when you consider a family that might have both children and pediatric doctors and family doctors and OBGYNs and whatnot, that in a community of independent doctors, many of them with their own portals, it's just not going to survive. So that's why we think an HIE-centric approach is going to work. And the other principle that I didn't mention earlier was that the concept is patient owns and controls the record. That is to say that if that patient moves away or leaves your practice, they still have their data. So it should make any sort of transition of care, or let's say they're moving across country, they will have their data. They'll be able to keep their account, if you will, or a kind of an account with no more clipboard, so that that they can take that data to another provider across the country when they do move. So we think that this solution is a really good one. It's been market tested, and it hits all the bells that we're looking for, both ourselves as well as the meaningful use folks back in Washington. So with that, I'm going to end the call a little bit early, give you some time back from your day, and do encourage you to reach out to Becky to see if participating in this pilot makes sense for your practice. So thank you very much, and thank you, Jeff and Becky. Take care. Bye.
Thank you.